What is going on, everybody? Happy Old Testament Thursday. I'm Pastor Adam, and it's so good to have you here to check out and see what we've got going on today. Hey, we're continuing on in our series on salvation. We ended up on Thursday. Hey, it's Thursday, Old Testament Thursday. You may be wondering, hey, it's Thursday. We're in the Old Testament. That was before Jesus' time. How does that work? Well, we're going to talk about how that works. And just because Jesus isn't physically present in the Old Testament doesn't mean he's not there. He's part of the Trinity. He is God, and so he reigns in with God and the activities of what's going on. And we talked about from Isaiah the other day about how the suffering servant is Jesus. And so today we're going to be in Psalms chapter 68 today, starting in verse 19. But before we ever get there, I want to talk about your parents. They are just incredible. You go back and you look and you think, man, my mom and dad really did do a lot for me. And every day there's burdens that our parents carried for us. So there's grandparents or other guardians that carried a lot of the weight for us while we were younger. We don't realize it until later on how much work they actually do. Sometimes we don't realize it until we have our own kids, and you go, man, I have to bear every single one of their burdens. They need help, getting water, the food, and clothes sometimes because they dress in the most craziest ways. So, hey, we are going to be talking about how God bears our burdens, and the psalmist says it directly here in chapter 68, starting in verse 19. It says, "Praise be to the Lord, to God our Savior, who daily bears our burdens. Our God is a God who saves. From the sovereign Lord comes escape from death." What happens when we get saved, when we receive Jesus and we turn from our sinful ways, we now kind of share in our burdens with Christ. Remember, I said it's never easy. It's never just no more issues, no more problems, it's all sunshine and rainbows and look, a unicorn. No, it's not like that. It's not some magical fairy tale that always happens. There it is. It's not always this magical fairy tale. We still have burdens. We still have trials that go on in our lives. And so what happens is when we get saved, we now share in those burdens with God. God now is kind of like our parents. He watches over us. He helps us. He gives us food. He gives us water. He gives us this and that and this. He gives us so much stuff because our God is so generous. When we become saved, God is more willing to provide to somebody who's turned from their sinful ways and accepted God rather than the ones who don't accept God. So when we talk about salvation, yes, that doesn't mean everything's going to be super easy and super light, but Jesus did say, he takes his burden is easy and his yoke is light. What he means by that is now somebody is there to help us with our burden. Somebody's there to help us out. Somebody's there to ease the weight of everything, like our parents were. And sometimes we don't realize how much God really does take care of us until later on in our lives. If you think about it, some of the basic things God does for us is he, gives us air. He makes the sun rise and he makes the sun set. He gives us life inside of us. God just does so much for us. Think about how much more he does for us. Jesus talked about the sparrows don't wonder where their food's going to be or where their water's going to come from or where their clothes are going to be. How much more does God care for us than those birds? God takes care of very many burdens that we don't even realize. We may never realize it until we get up there into heaven with him. But hey, this has been Old Testament Thursday. I'm Pastor Adam. What I want to leave you with today is that when salvation comes, God eases our burdens. He takes on our burdens and he gives us an escape from death. Physical death, maybe not. Depends on when he comes back. But spiritual death, he saves us from that. He saves us from ourselves. He eases the burden of this life that we live. So be encouraged today that when salvation comes, so does the ease of burdens. Not the escape from burdens, but the ease of burdens. God helps us with our burdens. Again, this has been Old Testament Thursday. I'm Pastor Adam. See you again next time.